Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy. We're going to talk about a few things today, and some of it you might find humorous. I'm don't hey ham radio cat. I don't mind admitting when I make a mistake, and y'all might enjoy it, might learn something from it. Hey, y'all seen several of my other videos of issues I've had with the Hustler 5 BTV vertical over the years, and I've been using off and on. Kind of had a love-hate relationship with it. I'm really getting where I like it a little more now. I'm learning a little more about it. But the last mistake I made, I took it down several months ago. And when I took it down, I've got a portable building out here. It's kind of my workshop. And anytime I take an antenna down, I wire tie it to the rafters to get it up out of the way where I don't take a chance of bending anything or stepping on it. Well, when I took it down, I thought I was taking the 80-meter resonator off. I took the stem coming out of the 20-meter with the 80-meter attached to it, took that off in one deal with the spider cage, and put it up, tied it up. Not realizing that stem was the 40-meter section that you adjust. Well, I put it back up, all here. Oh, I've had it up a month now, off and on with it, and got to messing with it. Realized SWR was high, bad high on 40. Of course, it's something Jeff and I both talked about. Neither one of us ever used tuners in our life. We always made sure antennas resonant. Now we've got tuners and gotten kind of lazy. I'll just hit the tuner on it and go on with it. Well, I decided I wanted to get everything back a little more resonant since I got this 701 in case I wanted to use it on it. Well, I'm out there, and any of y'all that I know people fuss about these things. Some people say they're a waste of money. Some people say they're the greatest thing in the world. This is a cheap antenna analyzer to check SWR with. His nano VNA is a lifesaver in my book. Well, I get out there messing with it, checking it. I had 10 and 15 good, 20 was out, 40 was off the chart. I just could not figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to adjust it. So I come back in the house and I finally dig out my Hustler instructions, and that's something else we're going to talk about here in a minute, and realize I'd left 40-meter stem off of it. Of course, I told Jeff and Cody, HKV and DLX about it on one night. And bear in mind, out of the trio, I'm the oldest. I'm fixing to be 63. Jeff, I think, just turned 60. Cody maybe early 40s, late 30s. So he had to hang around with two old boomers. First thing HKV says, yeah, the mine's the first thing to go. So I've got it back up. But one thing that I noticed that I've had with this thing, and I've had this antenna a long time. I believe I bought this antenna back in about 2000. Now, I'm a very instruction orientated person for being in the military. If you give me step-by-step instructions in writing, there's not much I can't figure out. But they got to make sense and they got to cover every step. One reason I never liked computer books. I learned more about a computer just getting on there and play with it myself. When Windows 95 come out, they said, well, get Windows 95 for dummies. Well, I guess I needed Windows 95 for complete and utter morons because it didn't help me a bit. Getting back to this book here, this manual stuff. One thing that I have always stressed to the new hams is start you some binders right now and put all your manuals in them and keep them. Okay, I've got 2 binders full right now of manuals. Even if you just get a small piece of equipment that's just got a pamphlet in it, stick it in the pocket, keep it. Now I know what some of you younger guys are saying. Oh, that's cute. The boomer still likes to use pamphlets. We got all our paperwork on one of these. Hey, that's great. Absolutely great. The problem I have with one of them is if I'm working on an antenna outside the sun, I can't see one of them. I can read that book. That's why I do mine on the book. So if you like the tablet, that's great. Go right ahead. I ain't knocking how anybody does anything. But getting back to the Hustler, what was my problem? One of the things with my Hustler, I never really understood how to tune that thing, because this is the first set of instructions I got with this Hustler. 1, 2, 3, maybe 6, 7 pages of factory directions. And when I put it up by the measurements, and I thought that was all he had to do to it. And then it says about tuning the traps. It just says tune the traps. Now, I know a lot of you older guys have been around trap antennas all your life. Well, you should know how to do that. Well, I didn't. I never had trapped antenna. This first antenna I've ever used had traps on it, adjustable traps. So I'm still having some issues with it. So I started looking online, looking at some things on videos about it and all that. And I was able to get a copy of this right here. This is the set of instructions that DX Engineering sends with their Hustler 5B TVs. There is 60 pages of information here that goes into great detail how to set that antenna up. Now, bear in mind, they're trying to sell you a lot of DX Engineering accessories to go with it, and ain't nothing wrong with that. If you got the money to use their full package of tilt base and radials and everything, go for it. I mean, there's a lot of information. I've learned a lot about that antenna just going through that, and I'm on the road to getting that thing where I want it. So I highly recommend, if you decide to buy a Hustler 4 or 5 or 6B TV, consider DX Engineering just for that set of directions, because it'll sure help you down the road on putting that thing up. So keep up your books, find you a binder, keep all your books in it, and you'll be a lot better off down the road. Radio manuals and everything. Let's see, there's something else I just blanked out my mind there, went completely nuts. Hit 481 subscribers. Appreciate that. Enjoy doing these. We had a real good time on our last little outing when we had our little mini field day. All you guys, and I try to work POTA contacts too. But if you're really into POTA, keep up with Kilo Victor 5 SIX, Vern 6, big POTA operator. He does lots of activations, and be a good way to make some POTA contacts. I'm going to pause this a second. Oh, I kind of remember now what I was going to talk about. Guys, I'm going to go back over something I've said several times. I am not an expert on ham radio. I enjoy ham radio, but I am by no means an expert. What I try to do is help you, guide you in the direction, and give you the tools you need to make your own decision about your own station, because ultimately you're the one up for it. You're the one in charge of it. I can't, it would be wrong for me to tell you you got to buy this radio, this antenna, this feed line, because I don't know your station setup. I don't know the level of your abilities. I don't know how deep your pocketbook is. If you like mine ain't that deep. So I want to help you get set up any way I can, but I don't like to give you erroneous information. I don't like to hear people telling you, oh, you need to get this or that, or you got to start a radio. I hate that term, or anything like that. Antennas is a major part of having your station set up. It's about as important as anything else. And ground-mounted verticals are a good way to go. But if you get, like Jill said, if you really want to have some fun one day, get on one of them ham radio groups and ask them if you need to put radials on the Hustler vertical and see the answers you get. Now, Hustler will tell you it'll work without verticals. DX Engineering will tell you it'll work without verticals, but they kind of lean you in, won't put, radials. Sorry, what word I use there. They'll work without radials. But they kind of lead you in wanting you to buy their kit to put the radials on it. Now, they did clear up something on radials that Hustler didn't clear up. I put the Hustler radials down according to their book, and you had to cut them in certain distances for each band, 3 per band, and they got longer as you went up in band, lower in band. And DX said, don't do that. Just put as many radials as you can. They said a bunch of short radials the same length, they said they'll decouple in the ground anyway. And Hustler will tell you if you don't have enough room to run them in a zigzag pattern, and DX said don't do that. Run them all straight, just cut them shorter. I know W5DLX, Cody, running that Wolf River coil, they said use several different tiles of radials, but he said he has his best luck with just 3 radials no matter what band he's on. Anyway, that's about all I can think of for today. Still tell you about my mistake. Still working on trying to get everything up. I'm about to decide, my wife may love me for this, I'm about to decide my yard can't handle as many antennas as I got. I may have to do some changing in the future. If anybody got any suggestions, I've been looking at some folded dipoles that cover 160 to 30 megahertz, 160 to 10. So if anybody has any viewpoints on them, drop me a comment on it. I'd like to hear what you got to say about it. I know Cody is working on with a 1010 a Ballon using a long wire. We hadn't got that kind of like the way he wants to do it yet. I wish I'd got a better picture of the 10-meter rotatable dipole Jeff made for our field day exercise. It really had a good idea. He just cut a 10-meter wire dipole and put it on a piece of fishing cane. He had to grow it on his property. He had an old cane pole there. He just cut it and wire tied it to the mast, and we could turn it by hand. I wish we'd had a chance to use it more that day, but 10 just wasn't cooperating very good. Remember Vern 6, KB5 SIX on POTA. Main trading companies having a bunch of sales right now through Christmas, and they got their annual "If It Snows, It's Free" sale. I don't understand it, but the information's on their website. Club pages, four states amateur radio, Dallas amateur radio, Cowtown amateur radio, Shreveport amateur radio. Look up a club page in your town where you're at. Ham Radio, Amateur Radio Elmers, Ham Radio Flea Market Trading Posts, 10-meter ham radio, Texas Amateur Ham Radio, all good Facebook pages. Remember my email's posted on my QRZ page, KB5MIQ is my call. I appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. This is KB5MIQ Big Boy, 73.